Well, welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. Today we have Tristen Cope, and Tristen is part of our H4C organization that's heading up our new childcare facility. And she's going to tell us some exciting stuff about that. But first, before we do that, why don't you tell folks a little bit about yourself, Tristen?
Yeah, well, thank you, Lou and Matt. I'm excited to be here today, and thanks for the coffee as well. It's always a nice treat.
Well, can be coffee with the mayor without
Right?
coffee.
Yes, I love some coffee.
Yeah.
So again, my name is Tristen Cope, and I actually work for K-State Research and Extension here in Marion County, and I also get to serve in Dickinson County as well. We are a district called the Chisholm Trail Extension District.
Okay.
And my role, what I get to do is just this exactly why I'm here today. So help to work on childcare issues, as well as provide parenting education. I get to help childcare providers obtain current licensing hours, so the hours they need that they can develop their education and still maintain their license. I also get to work on different state projects with like Nebraska Extension for one, some really cool multi-state projects that help childcare providers and the early learning community as a whole. Additionally, I get to be involved in our 4-H youth development program. So I know Matt's daughter, she's a 4-H'er, and so I get to help run that program and do things like the county fair or even club days, which is a really great opportunity to do project talks, presentations, all of those fun things.
4-H is great. I was a 4-H'er as well when I was a young guy, and then we were into sheep. So,
Ooh, okay.
So we had sheep.
Our sheep numbers are decreasing a little bit, so maybe you need to boost them up over
Okay, all right.
Talk up the sheep, and then you can get some more. Yeah.
It's been a hot minute since I've had a sheep, but it was fun, and being part of 4-H was a great experience. Yeah.
So myself, I was never involved in 4-H growing up. And so coming to the 4-H role, as well as the family and youth development role, that was new for me. I came to Extension in 2017, so I've been the agent here for a few years. Mm-hmm. But prior to serving as an extension agent, I actually ran a preschool program. So I served as the director and teacher for a preschool program in Marion.
Wow.
This is definitely a passion of mine. My background, I got my degree from Kansas State University. In early childhood education. And so my background is early learning and development in a sense. And so how we can help develop the child as well as educate those families and those parents.
Great. It sounds like a perfect fit for what you're doing, and just the way you light up when you're talking about it, I can tell it's a passion.
It really is. It's something that I put a lot of volunteer time and effort into as well. I serve as the president for the Kansas Association for the Education of Young Children. So yes, it's a mouthful. KSAEYC for short.
Oh my goodness, that's not short.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. But it's something that I'm really passionate about. So different ways that I can be involved in the state sectors as well as even local levels here.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit. I know there's a great need for childcare, and then certainly it's one of our strategic goals here in the city of Hillsborough. And our top three in alphabetical order, of course, are childcare, housing, and workforce, and they all work together. They all come together and intersect in ways that, if we're to grow and continue to grow as a community, we need to develop all three of those areas. Yes. So childcare obviously is first on the list, and is the one where I think we probably made the most progress to date. But take us back just a little bit about where we are, maybe where we were in terms of childcare in not just Hillsborough, but in Marion County.
Yeah, absolutely, Lou. So the conversation about expanding childcare, it really began back in 2019. And I believe the city of Hillsborough was a part of that initial conversation, in addition to the community foundation. And so it was brought to the table simply because of just that, because the workforce was saying we need childcare in order to continue having a workforce, or we cannot recruit employees because there's not enough childcare spots within the county, within Hillsborough, kind of anywhere around Marion County. In fact, Childcare Aware, they say that we are only meeting 32% of the demand or the need of childcare. So this is roughly 380, I want to say, children who right now do not have childcare or are not enrolled in a licensed childcare facility. So that's in Marion County. That's a lot of kiddos. In fact, there's over 500 and I think 70 children that have both parents that are in the workforce. And so that could also mean that there's up to 500 children that could need care or that would have the option to have childcare. That's a big number for
That's a
Marion
big
County.
number, you bet.
I've looked at a lot of different state data across Kansas, and we're up there with needing some of the highest needs right now. And so that number has not really changed. It fluctuates roughly 2% between 2019 until 2023, so current date. So it's kind of saying to us that we're maintaining that we are continuing to meet the need and needing childcare in general for our community.
Sure sounds like it. So tell us a little bit about then how this particular H4C group evolved and a little bit about the background of where the facility came into play and some of that.
Oh man, Lou, I could talk about this for days, honestly. One thing that I love about H4C and its story of how it came to be is really the community aspect. The community has been a major supporter with all of the different steps throughout the way. This has been with even starting from the very beginning. The community came together and we said, hey, there's a need for childcare. What are solutions? How can we move forward to solve this crisis that we have of needing childcare? From that meeting, we expanded and we became the Childcare Expansion Committee, another long committee name. With that Childcare Expansion Committee, we had roughly 20 different individuals serving on that committee, whether it be individuals themselves, businesses, agencies, organizations. It was a large committee that was just kind of brainstorming, and they were tasked with how are we going to move forward? What is our next steps? With that, we had a lot of conversation. We dove into what does a childcare look like? What's the difference between an in-home provider? What is group home providers? We explored all the different options of childcare to say what would work best for our community. We explored those options quite a bit. We explored spaces or facilities around Hillsborough quite a bit. And what we found was maybe we need to do a community needs assessment so we could have a better understanding of if we needed that center or if we needed multiple in-home providers. So with that, we actually had a community needs assessment in 2021, and we had over 100 respondents, which is pretty good for a community needs assessment. With that, we had the public take it, we had childcare providers provide input. We had, within the public, we had those that have already had childcare and those that were needing childcare. So it kind of gave a good aspect or kind of a wholesome view of the demographics of what we have within Marion County and the need that we're experiencing. So with that, what came through, shining through, was we need infant and toddler childcare. One thing that we always share with the public is that right now in Hillsborough, we have one licensed in-home provider, and she is able to take, I believe, up to 2 infants. However, she does take 1 for her ratios in order to make it work for her business or her facility. And so that's 1 infant for the entire town of Hillsborough, that's scary because that's right there. That already tells families who are wanting to move to the area that they don't have a place for your children, which is not good when you're looking at workforce, when you're looking at recruiting families to come. So it's that whole encompassing kind of problem that you're tackling as a city and as a larger community. So with that, after we had that community needs assessment, we really kind of refined what our vision was. This is also around the time when we said, I think we need to form a 501c3 and become an official board that's a not-for-profit so we can move forward with applying for grants and kind of refining our idea of what do we want H4C to look like.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So how did the connection between H4C and Trinity Church come about?
Yes. So one thing that most people don't know is that Trinity actually reached out to us. When was it? Back in 2019, 2020?
It was early on that process.
Yeah, early in the process, and said, hey, do you want to take a look at our basement space to see if this could work for your childcare needs? So we had actually toured their basement, and at that time, the basement would not work just for the licensing requirements that they have. And so we kind of kept that in the back of our minds. But then in 2021, very end of 2021, beginning of 2022, they reached out and said, hey, we are at a point in which we are wishing to kind of move on as a church. And is there an option, or would you guys be interested in utilizing this space for a childcare center or your childcare needs? And so we had some really great conversations with Norma, who is the pastor there, as well as their congregation as a whole. And then the story kind of just blossoms from there, because that I feel like was one of the hugest blessings that H4C was able to have, was the gift of a facility. Because if I feel like, I don't know, Matt, and I can speak for the board as a whole, but I feel like the gift of the facility is really what accelerated us forward to be able to be where we're at today. So their gift is tremendous. It is such a huge blessing for us.
They've always seemed to have had a heart for kids. I mean, they had the Food for Kids program, which
Yeah.
they're still continuing through the summer, and it moved over to First Mennonite, and they very graciously accepted that role, and the city, we've partnered with that program by providing, swim passes for the kids. And, it's just been a really great partnership in terms of helping kids out during the summer when school's not in session. But I will say this, not really caring too much about the risk, but, in the 6 years that I've served as mayor, I have seen so many, what I call them, God things happening in Hillsborough. From the saving of our hospital to bringing the right people into the right roles at the right times, and this process, and not only about the building, but then, of course, the funding. Because, it's great to have a building, but if you don't have any funds to get it to where it passes the appropriate inspections and so forth, you're really not there yet. So talk to us a little bit about how this funding came together, because it's a pretty impressive story.
It really is. And Lou, I just want to touch on too that me personally, I do feel that this has been such a God-led mission, in the sense where things have just fallen into place where sometimes you would think that they shouldn't have. So there's been a lot of instances where I just feel like this is a path in which is put forth for us that we should follow, we should lead, just because things are falling into place so beautifully, which is something that I've been extremely excited about. That's something that we've talked about on the board too, is things are falling into place, and it feels like this should be the path that is available for our larger community.
Yeah, that's great. So you started out, what was the initial thoughts in terms of budget for what was needed?
Yes, so that was a really great question. And that was something that we were not sure how much we needed to budget for, whether it was 500,000, whether it was $5 million. We really did not have an idea of where we should go. So we first reached out to several different communities that have done the same thing as us, or on the same path of us to expand childcare. One of those was Phillipsburg. Within Phillipsburg, we had a conversation there with one of their directors of the project, and they led us to Charles Friends, which is an architect firm out of Salina. Within that, we were able to meet with Charles, and he helped us to kind of identify what do we want, and then what would the cost of that be associated. And so that's where kind of the $2 million budget came to be. And of course, this fluctuates a little bit here and there with the different fees associated with it, with recruitment for your operational expenses. So yes, we put together a budget. And so our budget that we then presented was about $2 million, knowing that we would want to raise a little bit more for our operational funds to help assist us. So for example, so we could hire a director before the center were to open day one, and hire staff before the center is open. So we built this budget, and we then said, how are we going to get this funding? So within that, we kind of put different goals or different steps. One of those that we knew, or that Matt was able to help us find, was the Community Development Block Grant, which is the beautiful check sitting right behind you here. We're very excited. That was one of the recent grants that we were able to receive. The part of the Community Development Block Grant was that it had a matching fund as well. So there was matching funds that you needed to raise in order to apply for the top dollar amount, which was $600,000. And so within that, we set that as our goal, was to raise locally $600,000. That was our first fundraising goal. We hit that. We hit $600,000, 500 of that was private donations from our community.
That's amazing.
$500,000, Lou. That's
But
amazing.
half
That's a
a
lot of
million.
money.
That's $500
Yes.
million.
Yes, and that is just from our community wanting to support. And that's again why I said all of this has started with support and continued to be support from our community. And of course, outside donors as well, but it's really a growth that our community has started and is supported and rallied around. And so we set that goal, and then we received a few different grants. We received one like the Childcare Aware grant that then allowed us to reach the $600,000. So then we were eligible for the Community Development Block Grant. We've also received a grant called the Childcare Accelerator Capacity Grant. Within this, that was $855,000.
Yeah.
That was an amazing grant as well. And then we also have a private donation. The private donation was Sparkman Honey, who has donated $600,000 to our cause as well.
Wow.
So we have had, I mean, if you look locally, then we've had a little over $1 million locally that's been contributed to H4C.
So where are we at? What's the total?
So our total, if we do a drum roll, our total is $2.68 million.
Wow.
Mhm.
So we've got the construction money and the startup money.
Correct, we do.
So
Yes,
we're ready to go.
Yeah.
we're getting there. Yes. Our-
So action this day,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
Exactly. We're hoping, and that's a great question, Lou, that we kind of get about timeline wise is where are we at? And that's something that our board is wanting to know as well. Within receiving different federal funds, there are different stipulations and requirements. And so where we're at right now is waiting for a few different reviews or scans to come back. Part of that process has to be done before you're able to hire a contractor. And so we're hoping be able to post for bids this fall.
Yeah.
And then we're hoping late this year, potentially beginning of
Yeah.
next year, that construction could begin. That would be our goal.
Great.
Yeah, November-ish.
Yeah.
Hopefully have somebody on board and
Yeah.
be able to, it depends on how it goes from there. It's all interior work.
Yes.
Which is great. So they can work over the winter and.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some code requirements that are
Okay.
specific to childcare that have to
Yep.
be met. So there's some mods to the building, probably
There's-
some
yeah.
Yeah.
ingress, egress,
Quite a
types
bit.
of things, you know, that
Yes.
have to be done. So.
And some of that too work is, and that's a question that we've got when looking at the budget or the projected cost as well, is why does it cost so much to build a childcare center? That's a valid question that we've
fair.
received. One of those costs is going to be a new HVAC system.
Mhm.
So it will be an upgraded system that will be what it needs to be for the childcare center.
Sure.
It will meet all the requirements there. Additionally, within a childcare center, within the classrooms, you have to have plumbing done. So you have to have sinks, you have to have toilets, you have to have changing stations. So those are all added expenses because they're putting in plumbing in areas that it's not currently there.
And maybe a sprinkler system.
And a
too.
sprinkler system
Sprinkler,
is in
yeah.
there. Additionally, would be putting in exterior exits to each of the classrooms.
Right?
That's something that's a code requirement, a requirement by the state fire marshal. So yes, so all of these little expenses that seem, I mean, they're not little, but all of these expenses do add up.
Sure. You
Yeah.
bet.
And
But-
one thing too, and I don't know, Lou, I brought some pictures, because have you
Great.
seen what they look like yet? What
You know, I can't say that I have actually.
yeah,
we've
some of
got
the
some-
classrooms, well, I brought it, here's my binder
Nice.
for it
Tristen,
too.
giant binders.
I also,
Binder.
yes.
That go with the giant check.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share this too, because I think it's always fun to look at the classrooms. And if anybody wants to see this later too, we do have them posted on our Facebook page, which is Hillsborough Community Childcare Center. And
Wow.
so this is kind of a rendition of what the building can look like as far as the classrooms. So
Oh, man,
something that
that's
I wanted to
exciting.
point out was what we're very excited about is helping to preserve some of Trinity. So
Mhm.
some of the church. So in the classrooms over here for our older preschooler classrooms, they're
Mhm.
actually going to have that vaulted ceiling.
Oh, that's awesome. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. Very nice.
Yeah, and so we're very excited about what that space looks like and how we can utilize it to help kind of memorialize or pay tribute to Trinity as well as establish it as H4C.
Yeah. You know, this is a gift that's going to continue to give for generations.
It really will.
Yeah.
It's part of a legacy that can be withheld for generations.
That's an amazing gift. And again, such a God thing. I mean, you can just see it. You can just see it all coming together.
Yeah.
So as a community, we need to feel really good about it. We need to feel blessed, and we need to continue to work, to move forward, to go, because we're gonna have what, up to 99?
Yep, up to 99 children.
Okay,
This will be
but that
from-
doesn't cover the need.
Correct, yes. Yeah, we could see, I do anticipate that the first year, maybe 2 years, we may not be at full capacity just because families have found a way that works for them right now.
Mhm.
However, this could encourage more families to move to the area, as well as more families to seek different jobs, because there is childcare now that could be available for them. So I could see it growing very fast and maybe outgrowing this space even at one point, which would be a blessing that we would have somewhere that we could start to either add on or to utilize space that's in the basement. There's options here that we do have.
That's great. So there is, on the property that's there is some room to expand, yes?
Yes, there is. That's something that we've discussed with the architect already, and he kind of has a plan for us if that's something that we need.
That's great. The 99 number, I know that there is, that once you get to over 99, that triggers something.
Yeah.
So maybe you could help a little bit and to understand what that next
Yeah.
milestone would
Yes.
look like.
So with 99 children, that right now requires one director. If you exceed 99 children, you would need to have an additional director, such as an assistant director that was under that individual.
Okay,
It also comes with different training requirements that are required for both of those directors.
I see.
And so right now, an easy place, well, not easy, a place where
Right.
we can start is with the director for 99 children.
Sure.
Hoping to recruit somebody in that means.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard from a number of local businesses for quite a while in terms of their need for employees. And I mean, you can look in the newspapers every week and see the ads running.
Yeah.
And we know ourselves at the city of Hillsborough, that it's been a struggle to fill open positions
Yeah.
as well. So this is going to go a long ways towards helping our community with that. And it's really garnered some great publicity. I know you and I had the chance to talk to one of the Wichita stations and present this in that way. And you did an awesome job, by the way.
Thank you.
You're a great ambassador for Hillsborough and for Marion County. So we appreciate that. But,
Thank you.
we're just so excited to have this, and I can't wait to see that groundbreaking
Yeah.
date set,
Yep.
I am
Yeah.
so excited for that. I don't know if it'll be reality to me at that point,
Yeah.
just because we've been working on it for so long.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for what this space can look like for even the employees that H4C can bring too.
Mhm.
We have the option to hire, I think, close to 16 full-time staff with the potential for more.
What do you think is in terms of where we're gonna draw kids from? I mean, it's not just gonna be Hillsborough, I'm assuming.
No, I can see us drawing children from all of the surrounding areas. Even when I'm thinking about I have a feeling that infant care is going to fill up very fast, infant and toddler care, just because that's a need not only in Hillsborough, but in Marion and Gossel, even in Peabody. I mean, the need for childcare is huge. Again, we're only meeting 32% of the demand.
Right.
So I can see majority from Marion County wishing to come to a facility like H4C.
Yeah, I can see that they'll have their socks knocked off this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and who wouldn't want their kids to be in a safe place? And that's another big part of it is you mentioned licensed childcare, and we know that there's a lot of unlicensed childcare going on, and there's just a number of safety issues. I understand that people do what they have to do. I
Yes.
get that.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, we want to keep our kids safe, and we want to keep them have a great social experience,
Yeah.
and get them interacting with other
Yes.
kids. And that's huge.
And
you
that's
know?
part of my passion too, Lou, is my background with early childhood education, is being able to provide high quality early learning experiences. So a place that's going to be warm for the children, nurturing,
Mhm.
providing an area for them to play within a wonderful teacher that can help support their playing and their learning. And so all of that is my hope for H4C and what I'm most excited for.
So today we have Kids Connection at Hillsborough MB, And I think the plan is it not to integrate that
Yes.
organization with H4C?
Yes, Kids Connection is very excited. We've met with them several times. They keep asking, when are we going to be ready to move in? We said we're not quite there yet.
Give it a minute.
We actually do have their director, Tiffany. She helps to serve on the H4C board just to help within this transition or kind of this merger that we have. Knowing that it is going to be an important step and it is going to be a change for the children that are currently enrolled in Kids Connection, just different ways that we can help to bring them on board and it to be a smooth transition for them.
Well, that's great. So Matt, you've been involved in this group as well. Is there anything you'd like to add from your perspective?
Well, I think the important thing is, this has a lasting value, aside from just the upfront benefits for childcare, because we are putting kids in an early childhood environment that's going to be helpful for their development, which makes them more ready for preschool, which makes them more ready to go into our school system and excel there. There's also partnership opportunities with the school that they're on our board, they're represented on our board too. And we're also looking at partnerships with Tabor College and Hutchinson Community College too, to help make this kind of a learning lab type situation too, so we can help students get some experience dealing with our younger citizens at the same time. So
And maybe recruit them to stay and work.
yeah, and that's
with
gonna help, because we have,
Yeah.
We're gonna create however many jobs with
Yeah.
this too, and it's gonna be interesting to see if we can fill our own jobs with that. But yeah, it's just a great all around thing, and I think it helps lift the whole net. It helps lift the whole thing, so that when we talk about what do we do next, housing, what do we do with workforce, these are all connected. So putting this marker in the sand, saying we're going to finish this piece, really helps us on the next few things too. So future focus.
If we're taking it in alphabetical order, so we getting the childcare
Right.
part done, now next is
On
housing.
housing, yeah.
Need some houses, and we
Yeah.
need something that people can afford to live in, and I know that
Yeah.
Matt has and I have been working on that diligently. Matt, of course, much more so than me, but we definitely have some things in on our radar that we want to see if we can push through that would be
Right.
provide for that need. So we'll see if God's going to continue to lead, and we're going to trust in Him to help us get
Absolutely.
there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it works in not always in our timing, but it works in the right timing. So anyway, is there anything you'd like to add, Tristen?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Lou, for the city, because without the city's support and Matt being able to help in his capacity, things like the grant from the Community Development Block Grant would not have been possible. I know that was a very big undertaking, and just want to say thank you for the city's support and helping us to get those grants accomplished, and all the other many things Matt is doing too behind the scenes. He's the expert on getting buildings and all.
Yeah, don't ask me
All
about
of
operating a
those.
childcare center, because that is not my thing, but
But that is
I'll
a
get you
really,
through that part.
that's one of the amazing things too that our board has, is each of us has a different sector, a different capacity in which we serve that we're experts in, I would say. And so those that are on our board, I just want to thank them too, because not everybody knows the work that's going on behind the scenes.
I'm sure that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of hours, a lot of time.
there are, and it's just the dedication that they see for how we can help to build childcare and just build the community as a whole.
So, I'm a firm believer, as I think everybody should know by now, in terms of cooperation and collaboration, and that we can't do it all by ourselves. We have to work together. And, some guy appropriated that for a political slogan called "Growing Hillsborough Together." I don't know who that was. But, I think that's what we're seeing here, is that we're all working together for the betterment of our community. And, that's what I want, when the day when I'm done with that part of my life, I want to be able to look back and say, we left it better than we found it.
Yes.
And, that's really, I think, what we all should be committed to. And I know you guys are, and I want to thank you both from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done. And, I'm looking forward to seeing these pictures become reality.
Me too. I'm very excited for the future of H4C and the future of our community.
That's great. Thanks, Tristen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Lou,
you're awesome.
Matt.